Hey there, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Andrea and I love the Pilates method. Have a look around, you'll see some workouts, some exercise tutorials. If there's anything that you would like to see in a video that you do not see, do let me know. I do take requests. And if you're returning, thank you so much for returning to my channel. I'm glad you appreciate the content that is here, and same goes for you. If you have anything that you would like to see in a video that you do not see, I've gotten some requests for some Wunda chair workouts and a few other things in the works, including today's topic. I've gotten a few questions about when I relate exercises to each other based on either the same action or the same back shape, and a few people have requested that I talk a little bit more about that to kind of relate the exercises together to help you in teaching other people the exercises, also in helping understand them for your own body. And so I thought we would do a few videos in a series. I think there'll be 5 videos because we have 5 different back shapes. And I'm just going to talk about each back shape and exercises that fall into that category and how they relate to one another, how they're different, how they're similar, and how you can use them in conjunction with each other to help teach that particular skill of making that back shape. And I'm going to make some notes in the info box below as well. And when I talk about the exercises, I'm going to sort of still photo of the exercise. So if it's one that I call by a different name than you do, or one that you're less familiar with, you'll know kind of what we're talking about, and you'll be able to see clearly the back shape that it uses. So I thought, I didn't know which one I would pick to start with. All of them have their charm, shall we say, but I thought I would start with the round shape. Sometimes the round shape is described as a C curve. Sometimes it's described as a capital C. I kind of like to think of it as an elongated curve, something like the shape of a parenthesis, where you're inherently really lifted and tall, but your back is rounded in the exercise and the shape of the exercise in the back. That's another thing I should mention. The shape of the exercise refers to the trunk of the body and the shape that it is making, just to be clear. So today we're going to discuss the round shape. And I have 6 exercises that I like to use and interrelate together because they're really the same exercise, just with a different attachment to the apparatus or no apparatus, a different relationship to gravity, and a different either assistance from the apparatus or a challenge from the apparatus. So let's start with the mat exercise, that is the roll up, because you have the least amount of support there. Maybe you have a strap on your feet. The exercise that is a round shape that we're going to talk about is the roll up. And granted, the roll up is actually an exercise that has 2 shapes, to be clear. The first one is when you're lying on the mat before and after the exercise. So that is not a round shape when you're flat against the mat. And then in the middle of the exercise, you hit that round shape. And I'll just insert a picture of the roll up. And then the next exercise that is essentially the same thing, but with assistance, and a little slightly different position, is rolling back, which is done on the Cadillac using the rollback bar. And I'll insert a picture of that exercise. So you can see that on the mat, you're unassisted. I mean, maybe you have a pole, but you are getting yourself up and down in your roll up. And in rolling back, you have a spring that helps you to get lift and to return. Okay, so we have the roll up and rolling back on the Cadillac. And then one of our most famous reformer exercises shares this shape, and that is the exercise, the elephant. And I will insert a picture of the elephant. So if you can imagine, the elephant shape is really like the side view of the roll up, but stood on its end instead of sitting. So there's your same shape, really same exact shape. And it's actually going to stay the same. It's not an exercise like the roll up where you're one shape and then you get into the exercise and you're another shape. The elephant shape, you're going to try to stay in that round shape the entire time. So in some ways that makes it A, more exacting, B, more simple, yet still more exacting. Okay, so we have 3 exercises. And then Another exercise that shows up, the round exercise that we do sitting on top of the short box, the first one, that is actually essentially the roll up, but with a box underneath you. So, and just to give you kind of a visual, I'll put a picture in as well. You know, if that exercise starts where you're kind of keeping the shape the same the entire time as you go back and forth, and then it really builds into going all the way past the level of the roll up and going all the way back into a back extension. So it is really the same as the roll up, but it has a greater end range that you can explore in other shapes. And then, but it does return to that round shape. And I find sometimes that's a hard position to figure out how to make when you're just sitting up there in space. But if you can kind of relate it to the roll up, that's helpful to me. Okay, and now we have two exercises in the same shape that are on the Wunda chair. The push down and also the pull up. And those, as you can see, are the same exact back shape, but what is moving that you touch is different on each exercise. In the pull up, the pedal where your feet are is moving. In the push down, the feet are stationary on the floor and the hands are connected to the moving part of the pedal. Okay, so let's just talk about those 6 exercises. I'm going to compare and contrast them just a little bit more. So we have our roll up, which is essentially you and a mat and no assistance. And then you have a helpful roll up in a few places. The rolling back on the Cadillac, you actually get to push your feet against the poles of the Cadillac, giving you an assist that's different from the roll up. And then you get that same standing on your feet kind of aspect when you do the elephant and also the push down. The pull-up is a little bit different because you do get to push on something and stand on something, but now what you're standing on is not as supportive because it's moving. So it is supportive, but it's going to move, which has to make you act upon or use that connection in a little bit different way than if you got to just stand on something stationary. And the round in the short box, a little bit, it's going to make it more challenging because you have something to secure your feet, the straps, which is good news, but you don't actually have anything to push against. So that is something that then you have to create that skill, shall we say. And often it comes to pass that people, it's challenging to do the roll up, right? It's a mat exercise and you need a lot of skill in place, even that foundational exercise, to achieve a roll up. And then based on what kind of part of the roll-up is the part that needs help and assistance, you have all these other round exercises to help you achieve the connection that you're looking for in the roll-up, the mat exercise. So, for example, what I mentioned when you get to push on something, often that's really helpful to use your stomach and your bottom when you get to push on something. So often rolling back is a really good help for the roll-up skill, and also coming at it from above, the push down is a nice way to use the roll-up. Maybe someone is very stiff and it's hard for them to do the roll-up, you know, and roll up and down, but with gravity assisting them, maybe the push down on the Wunda chair turns into like a really nice stretch that they enjoy, and then maybe that would make them more interested in the exercise that they maybe don't like as much because it's the same, and they're trying, then they can feel like, oh, I love this exercise and maybe I can make this other exercise feel like that exercise even though I don't like it. So now I would encourage you, just because I picked these 6 exercises, we're all different people, and all the exercises kind of speak to us and speak to us about, you know, other related exercises in a different way. I have several clients, and often they like to play this game too, like, oh, this exercise, it feels just like this other exercise. And often they'll pick an exercise that might not occur to me to choose. And I always say, explain. And then when they explain it, I think, oh yes, that makes perfect sense. It's similar in this way, this way, and this way, and you get this assistance and this challenge. So I encourage you to take these 6 exercises, work them yourself or think about them yourself, and maybe they encourage you to relate other exercises that speak more to you that I don't mention. So let's collect a group of all these exercises in the round shape that speak to you. Let's collect them in the comments below. So of these 6 exercises, the roll up, rolling back on the Cadillac, the elephant, the round on the short box, the push down, the pull up, What are other exercises that you're like, oh, that's in the same category? I do that all the time, or I use that with great success with my clients. So leave me a comment below. Add some exercises that speak to you that are in this category. And if this doesn't make sense and you need more clarification or have questions about this way of thinking about the exercises, please leave your comments below. Let's have a conversation. I really like what's happening there. And I will see you next time. Next time we're going to talk about the tall back shape. And thank you so much for watching. If you're not a subscriber and you'd like to be, do click the red subscribe button. Use the bell icon so you'll never miss when I publish a new video. And thanks so much for watching. Bye!